Was your career, job, or lifestyle chosen by your parents? That's the question, and I want to know. I want to know because I am very unhappy with the things that happened in my life, and I believe they happened because of that problem. Okay? I want to talk to you about this. All right. When your parents, and 80% of parents do this, 80% of parents push hard, okay? 20% are a little off the edge, but 80% of parents push hard, made it very clear to you what they think you should do with your life, your lifestyle, your political party, your first few jobs, like mowing lawns or babysitting the neighbors, or your career choices. Maybe you go to college, maybe you go to technical school, maybe you intern under somebody. They want to make that decision for you in 80% of the cases. And they're disappointed if you don't do it. And what happens when you do it? Well, that's the part that I'm here to talk to you about. 47% of people are unhappy with the choices their parents made for what they did in life and are doing now, or were doing at some point in their life. They've done it, they've tried it, they didn't like it, and they feel resentment that they followed what their parents said. And I'm a professional student. If something triggers me, I want to answer. I want to figure out what's going on, so I go and I research. Well, I wanted to be an artist. I told my parents that when I was 3 years old. I was doing embroidery by the time I was 3. I was sewing by the time I was 5. All I ever asked for Christmas was crayons and paints and paper and canvases and brushes and so forth. That's all I ever asked for. That's all I ever wanted, was to be able to create. And my parents were very adamantly against it. Very, very adamantly against it. And that's tough. That's a really tough thing. But especially when you feel that just passion that, and somebody's done it. Somebody else has cut the grass too, but you don't want to spend your whole life cutting the grass unless you want to have a landscaping business. That's a whole different story. Then you've got, plants and decorations, and you can go to college and learn how to be a landscaper, for goodness sake. But it's not like it's, cutting the next door neighbor's yard crappy because you don't really know what you're doing, but you're a little kid and you want to make some money. So I think it's very, very important to look at this situation. My father insisted I was to be the CEO of a business, not married. Mother said the same thing, don't marry. They had a very bad marriage, and that's why they did that, I suppose. Don't have children. That was their message. No kids, no marriage, head of a business. You got to go to business college. Well, what ended up happening, and I was just always studying art, and what ended up happening is that I found myself, as soon as I was away from my parents, taking junior college classes in art, and I was just absolutely ecstatic. But obviously, I had to support family, so I waited tables, and I was good. I was good at it. And I enjoyed taking care of people because that's what I learned as a child. I was taking care of my mother from the time I was 5. My dad was usually gone on military missions. And so I was taking care of her. And I learned how to take care of her. I learned how to take care of alcoholics. Because she was an alcoholic. And so what ends up happening there is I'm really good at taking care of drunks in the restaurant. So, and I was comfortable with that because I already knew what that was like. So there I go, But what happens when you're not comfortable? When you're sad? because and lifestyle. My parents' lifestyle was they always lived in a house, boop, 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 next to another house, boop, 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 boop. Yeah, Dad had a pecan tree in the front yard and a grapefruit and orange tree in the backyard. And it was warm, but there's not much more similarity there. Yes, I like to live in a warm climate, but I want to farm. I don't want to be next door. My dad was, oh God, he was such a host. Every weekend he would invite half the neighborhood over to eat his barbecue. I mean, that he wasn't ever home, so it was very rare. It might be every 6 weeks. But he would be home, and everybody in the neighborhood would be invited to come and eat his barbecue. He loved to entertain. He loved to be around people. He loved to talk. He loved to be the center of attention. He was so bright and so friendly. And he worked as a volunteer at the hospital, so I've always been a volunteer. He always worked as a volunteer at the hospital. So I learned about volunteering and how incredibly satisfying that was. And I went into that field. And he was real strict about churches. He was a Roman Catholic who converted to Lutheran after my brother died at 4 days. So there wasn't, he just said, I've married a woman who's Lutheran, and I've buried a son at Lutheran, and I'm just going to be Lutheran. But he wasn't. He wasn't Lutheran. Why? Because when he was 5 years old, he was still Catholic. And if they get you till you're 5, you're still Catholic. That's just the way it is. But Lutheran is close enough to Catholic that he just fell right into line with it. I was sent to church and Sunday school and summer camp and Girl Scouts, Brownie Scouts, all that through the church, all the years that my father was alive. But it was usually with somebody else. My mother didn't take me alone when my father was gone. She'd be laying in bed somewhere. She always was. She was always laying in bed somewhere, drinking. Yeah, it's a strange situation. But the point is, the real point is, did I take up that lifestyle? Now, my mother died a lot earlier than I am right now, and I'm still on my feet. I'm busy. I am busy. Far as I know, by the time my mother was 45, she was a pretty old lady. Wanted to live in the house, wanted to have somebody help her with taking care of it, and, you know, she just was a typical housewife. She was an RN. She passed she never worked as an RN, but she passed the paperwork for it. My dad didn't have any college, so they both wanted me to go to college, and I did, after they were dead. Yeah. Somehow, because of all that pressure on me that I was not going to be worthwhile unless I went to college, I did. I got 5 degrees. Crazy, huh? But I did it because of my childhood. And what I'm sharing with you is what I learned. What I learned was almost half the people are unhappy following the path their parents set for them. When my parents said I had to go to business college, I went to business college. I studied to be a nonprofit. That's not what my father had in mind. He wanted me to be a CEO of a company. But I didn't want to be CEO of a company. I wanted to be an artist. So I became a nonprofit person, taking care of people like I did with my mother, a caregiver. Yeah, you see, you got to put all these pieces together before they make any sense. And that's why I have a school, SKOOL. It's called Summerland Trauma Caregivers School, SKOOL. It's free. You come there, we talk about putting the pieces together. What are the pieces that you are trying to figure out about your life? What pieces frustrate you? Why you want to ask yourself, why did I take drugs or alcohol or overshop or overeat or over whatever? Why was I trying to find something to reduce the pain in my life? Why am I mentally ill? Why am I emotionally a basket case? What about my childhood, where it's like your school, it's where you learn. You learn from your parents, you learn from your relatives. Whatever happens where you are is what you learn and you take into your adulthood. So what do you do with it? So why wealthy people end up with what they end up with is they have a nanny, they have a teacher, and the children are kept home, isolated. Look at The Secret Garden. God, what a wonderful movie. I love that movie. The Secret Garden talks about a young boy who was told he was crippled because his mother died at his birth and the dad was devastated. It turns out the kid wasn't crippled. And it took 2 children to figure that out. But it's that whole fathom move way of doing things where you take the child and you keep them isolated and you're very selective about their friends and their experiences and so forth and so on, so that they do what the parents have taught them to do. And then they keep on the business, see? But if you let your child free and let them go and decide on themselves what they want to do, there's a tremendous difference in the level of satisfaction, especially in adulthood. Big challenge. Do you want to find yourself as an adult? Probably 50% chance unhappy with what you're doing, the kind of work you're doing, unhappy with it. Now, if you ask a billionaire's child, are you happy running dad's business? They may say it, they're annoyed with it, but they've got so many other things that they can do with the money that it's not a big deal. But what if your dad's business was raising cows? So you're always in the farm, taking care of the cows, raising the cows, getting the milk, selling the milk, worrying about taking care of the farm, making sure they're fed, all those things. And what you really wanted to do was go in the Coast Guard. Big difference between being on the farm and going out in the Coast Guard. That's why. And you're just barely making it, because right now in farmers, farmers have always had a struggle because it's just really expensive to run a farm and you've got to be able to make it work, and it's just very complicated and it's very stressful. It's very, very stressful. But with the Coast Guard, you're working for somebody and you're seeing the world. Or maybe they wanted to go in the military. Or maybe you wanted to make hats. Whatever. What matters is, as an adult, are you unhappy? If it's true, that's sad. Anyway, I'm sharing the information with you. I have an SKOOL school. It's called Summerland Trauma Caregivers, SKOOL. Information should be at the end of this video. And you can also leave a comment if you can't get a hold of me. Okay? You want to talk? I'm willing to talk. We'll talk about anything that I've made videos about or anything else in your life. It doesn't matter to me. Thanks.